All right, guys, welcome in. Thank y'all for making it. This is an awesome crowd. Looks like some people want to hear from some of our guys up here. So thank y'all for making it. Really appreciate it. Little housekeeping stuff real quick. We're trying to get the word out a little bit more here. We've got a little meetup group going, and we've got a Facebook group and all that kind of stuff. So kind of show of hands real quick. Who heard about us from Meetup? Okay. Facebook events or whatever? Okay, cool. All right, sweet. Yeah, first Tuesday every month here at Red Stick Social, and we're actually pretty much confirming that for the year, especially if we can keep this kind of turnout. So thank y'all for making this happen, but we might need a bigger room after this. So very cool. Let's roll through. This is our sponsor for the night. Patrick is my DSCR lender, and what we do, just a quick side note on this too, our sponsors really help make this happen. This is not very cheap to hold it in here, so we really thank our sponsors for making this happen. And our sponsors are going to be people that we actually know and do business with. These aren't just people coming in off the street telling us, you know, come do business with me. We're actually vetting these guys, and Patrick's been a dog working on this DSCR for me, like currently this week. It's been rough, and he's challenging an appraisal for me right now. It's been quite the process, but Patrick's been great. He really stepped in for these past couple months to help facilitate this space. So if y'all want to talk with him, he's sitting with the broken hand at the table over there. Put you out there. It is. There we go. All right. Yeah. That's what he does to the appraiser, you know. All right, so we want to do a couple quick room intros. Got some requests to do this. I think it was pretty beneficial for everybody, so we'll kind of go down the list. Who in here are wholesalers? And look around too, so if anybody's looking for deals, looking for wholesalers, go find these guys after. Flippers, buy and hold flippers. Cool. Contractors. Good turnout on the contractors. Awesome. We all need new contractors. Title attorneys, title companies. Where's Rob? There he is. Let's go, Rob. All right, insurance agents. Any insurance agents? Oh, there we go. One in the back. All right, I'm going to start an insurance company here soon. Okay, property managers. Any property managers? Two of them. Okay, cool. All right, now, private hard money is kind of different. So if you're a private hard money lender, you're probably not going to want to stand up and raise your hand because everybody's going to want to come talk to you. If you are actively working a deal that you have under contract looking to fund, raise your hand so that the lenders can come talk to you. Okay. Cool. Sweet. Landlords. Buy and holds. Okay. Sweet. Okay, want to intro these guys. I'll let them kind of do their own. Goes without saying, I think these guys know a thing or two. I think the turnout proves that. So we wanted to bring in a couple guys from each category, kind of real estate, and let them kind of speak into mistakes and lessons learned from last year. I selfishly kind of wanted to do this to make sure I wasn't the only one that just got obliterated in 2024. So I think there's a lot of mistakes made. I'd like to learn from those. Again, selfishly, I want to learn from those to make sure I'm not doing the same thing. So yeah, we've got our expert wholesaler, our expert buy and hold guy, and our expert flipper. And all of these guys pretty much do all of the other things as well, but just in order of, you know, consolidating this down a little bit and having everybody kind of have their expertise to speak on, that's how we've kind of broken it up. But if y'all want to go ahead and introduce yourselves briefly and let us know who you are.
Hey, I'm Aussie Steve. I'm founder at Home Buy Louisiana. Yeah, we're really a property acquisition company. We wholesale deals. We wholesale over 175 properties in Greater New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and the North Shore. I do also buy and hold mainly for properties, and like to hold deals long term as well.
I'm Nathan Lozo. I'm on Market Properties. We manage B2C, mainly C properties in Baton Rouge, Gonzales area, and a little bit in New Orleans. We have, I think, 14 different apartment complexes here in Baton Rouge. Yeah, that's what we do.
Elliot and my business partner Todd is here too. If you raise your hand. Our selfish reason for being here is to meet wholesalers. So if you don't know us, please grab my card after we're done. We have a flip business and a rental business. We're probably one of the more active flippers in town, if not the most active flipper in town. We bought just under 300 properties. We did 40 last year, and that's it.
And also selfishly, I am looking to hire a leasing agent, so if anybody is interested in working for us, come talk to me actually.
And for anybody that's going to grab an old fashioned after, Nathan is one of the most fun people to talk horror stories on rentals with. So yeah. All right, so diving right into it. So first question is, didn't want to get too deep into the big problems and stuff. Let's kind of start surface level, guys. What was a trend or market shift that y'all noticed in 2024 that might have been a little bit different than what you've seen in the past? And then we can elaborate a little bit more on how y'all plan to adjust. But let's start with just a trend that y'all saw that shifted in 2024.
I think there was a continuation of a trend from a wholesaler's perspective, right? I'm a wholesaler, so definitely the buyers like thinned out and just slowed down their decision making, and that's probably a trend that kicked off in 23, maybe in 22, and I think that really is also based on the broader trend of increasing interest rates and insurance rates. That they've been tough to handle for buyers of properties, even the end buyer, retail buyers, the landlords. So there was definitely that slowdown. Probably one other trend I'm hoping I noticed at the end of the year, so this is hopeful, but I noticed at the end of the year I had a couple of really old school buyers, like really people that like I respect as big players who have been quiet the last couple of years. And I had 3 of them just pop up in December and buy some deals from me, and I'm like, wow, I didn't realize you were buying. And so that may be some green shoots of hopefully a trend that continues into this year, but probably the trends I've seen.
And on that, I mean, what are you going to do to adjust that, your investing strategy to kind of stay ahead of that for going into this year?
So I mean, for me as a wholesaler, I really invested heavily in my dispo this year. I hired John Lester, who came to work with us, and for me, just working on the buyer's side of wholesaling was really vital. So because there was people still buying, it's just slower. So but we've been able to move deals effectively just based on putting more attention into knowing what our buyers want, communicating with them, building new buyers into that database. So that's really how I've managed it. On the investing side, on my rental side, the increases in interest rates were harder to acquire properties, but for the existing properties, the increases in insurance were tough. Property taxes were tough. So some of my properties turned negative. And how I combat that, I mean, I have reserves and I have income from other places, so able to just sort of eat that, based on long-term, strategy of holding those rentals.
Cool. Yeah, Nathan, on a buy and hold, if you want to take it macro to apartments and everything, or if you want to take it a little bit smaller to residential trends you saw, feedback on that.
Yeah, so 2024 is the year of over-leveraged multifamily. I think that's not really a secret here. If you haven't heard about it, it's really big in the multifamily space. There's a ton of over-leveraged properties, either on variable interest rate or fixed rate debt, that no longer makes sense. They either need to refinance now, and the interest rate that they bought at was like 3%, and now it's at 7%. Even though the property is probably a great property, it probably performed well, it probably even cash flows now. But now that the debt is up, because in commercial real estate, it's usually a 3 or 5 year term for the loan cycle. And now we're seeing a lot of that debt coming due. The chickens have come home to roost. So 2024 was pretty much a bloodbath for multifamily. In the past, I've been really conservative, and I've been called that by several people, but I guess it turns out to be the right way to do it. In my opinion now, the safe bet for multifamily going forward is anywhere from like 55 to 65, maybe 70% loan to value is, in my opinion, a safe bet, especially because interest rates still are high and they're not necessarily guaranteed to go down. But over-leveraged real estate, and also twofold. Part of the issue was the insurance. That was kind of like the thing that snuck up on people, right? So these properties that they're buying, and since it was so competitive in the past, they bid these properties up to be, you know, as much as they can pay for them, right? And they barely cash flow with low interest rates. Well, you know, congratulations, and the next year you get hit with not only your debts due with higher interest, but now you have your insurance is doubled. I know from personal experience, on all of our properties, we're paying about 25 to 45% more in insurance across the board on all of our properties. You know, luckily we bought at 55, maybe 60% on the value of all of our properties. But yeah, it's definitely a killer. You're making a lot less money than we did. We were killing it for 3, 4 years, 5 years, and yeah, taking a pay cut on that. But I guess in order like to learn from it or move forward from it, I'm starting to see multifamily values start to compress a little bit. You're starting to see a lot more creative financing coming into play, a lot more local debt. One of the things, I don't know how applicable it is to this group, but a lot of institutional debt, like Fannie and Freddie loans, really don't work south of I-10 anymore because of insurance requirements. Learned that the hard way at Stadium View. It's just, you know, we went from paying $75,000 a year in insurance to $110,000. You know, and if we would have paid too much for that property, then we'd be cash flow negative, and then we'd be forced to sell at a loss. And that's what I'm starting to see now. I guess I'm not really embarrassed to say, but I've actually bought 3 properties from motivated individuals by assuming debt. So I guess that's a good thing as far as deal flow comes. There's a lot of blood in the water right now in multifamily. We've capitalized on that tremendously last year with a pretty good purchase. We bought a 77-unit property called Mirage Villas. Completely stabilized on 3 vacancies and with about $5 million in equity in it. So
over leveraged debt, and
over leveraged debt. The seller took a $3 million hit. It was inherited property. We got local debt on it. With a local bank here, Synergy Bank. Our insurance requirements are a lot less. We acquired land behind it and actually are developing a trailer park. So
nice, nice. Cool. Yeah, Elliot, on the flips side, what kind of trends are you seeing?
So to add some sound bites to what Nathan said, cash is king again. That hasn't been the case for a while. And Burr, has everybody show hands how many people heard of the Burr method? Burr is dead. Unless you have a crush, it just does not work. It's kind of interesting. I think every single large leverage investor I know in town is now out of business. And they bought between 2019 and 2021. So people that started doing that in 2022 forward, it's not going to be pretty in the next year or two. You can get by for a tenant or two, but once you have some downtime, have a turn, those people are going to be underwater. I think what was interesting about 2024 is from about April to September was probably the most difficult time we had to find deals. I would say, a lot of people say it was a terrible year. It wasn't. It was a normal year in terms of performance from an investment perspective. It was a bad year in terms of volume. But the prices really didn't change much. We have not seen a down market in over a decade. Let's see, I made notes. Asa gave us the questions in advance.
Don't tell him. Cool, awesome, thank you.
Now I got to add really quick,
Yeah.
like going forward, like as far as like leverage goes, right? To me, that's always been number one for me, but apparently it hasn't been for a lot of people. And Elliot's right. Like, a lot of the people that I know that were highly leveraged, you know, and very competitive, I'll say, and people that we got bid out on properties, no longer in business, right? So, you know, don't get that deal fever. People get all excited about a deal. I'm guilty of it too. And they kind of fall in love with the deal. If it doesn't pencil out, don't do the deal, you know? And always look at it in this perspective of, hey, you know, can I afford to lose every bit of money I have in this deal or not? If you can't, you shouldn't be doing the deal, you know? And I know everybody's got to take a jump sooner or later, but I've just seen plenty of guys that, you know, they saved up 200 grand, bought like a little 8-plex or 10-plex unit. And people don't realize too, the buyer pool for these smaller apartment complexes are not that big. Just because they're not that easy to manage. You know, a 4-plex and below, you can find a buyer pretty easy. But from a 5-plex to probably a 60 unit or so, it's really kind of a weird shaped asset. And I've learned that the hard way as well. It's kind of like the ugly stepsister. Like, you know, you're not really getting the W-2 employee that just makes good money that's buying real estate on the side, but you're not attracting the institutional buyers either. You're kind of looking for like, you know, a rare, you know, in my opinion, a rare buyer. And that really kind of hurt a few people that I know that actually had equity in their property, but they just couldn't sell it in time.
Right.
You know, and the bank took those as well.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And I just want to say I definitely agree with Elliot. Like I think Burr is really hard. I just want to push back on the word dead because I don't think it's dead. I see people doing Burr. I do like Burr. I've done a lot of Burrs in my time. I'm doing a lot less now because it is much harder and it is that the interest rates have gone up a lot. So it's very hard to make a pencil. The insurance has gone up a lot. So it is very hard to make a pencil. So it's much harder to do Burrs. But there's still opportunities. If you buy right, if you underwrite it, you still can do Burr deals. I see people doing them. I do them. But like, I agree with your sentiment. You're right. It's just I don't like the word dead.
Yeah, Elliot's not the guy to call for a hype talk. Yeah, he's the one who's a very realist when it comes to this. So, yeah, right.
So I'll see Steve is a wholesaler. The deal stops when it closes for wholesalers. When an investor, the deal starts at closing. It's not dead, but I would say it's probably like 95% dead.
Hey, Elliot, the last Burr he did, did he do it by choice or not?
I'm not gonna ask.
All right, last thing on it.
I'll say, I am a wholesaler, yes, for sure. I'm also a buyer. So I have 27 properties, 37 doors. They're mostly Burr. So Burr is on life support. It's in life support, but you can do it.
Yeah, I think main concept is interest rates are real. It was hard to fail when money was free. Now that money's not free again, you actually have to operate your deal. You actually have to know what you're buying. So.
I think this is important. The whole principle about Burr is having spread over your debt interest rate. So if rates were 3%, you could have a return of like 5.5%, 6%, and it would pencil out. You want to have margin over your debt. Well, now rates are 7%, so you really need. I like to have about a 4% spread.
Yeah.
So yeah, you need the 10 or 11. Can you Burr? Yeah. You just have to have a very good deal. It's got to be a crush.
Yeah, and buy good deals. I mean, that's what it comes down. All of this will come down. I feel like we could answer any one of these questions tonight with buy good deals. I mean, really, that's yes, 100%, 100%. All right, we'll roll that into the big question everybody wants to know. Obviously, what was your biggest mistake you made in 2024, and then obviously, how did you adapt from that? But we'll start with the biggest mistake.
I think the biggest mistake I made was just veering from my core competency. So I was trying to be Elliot because he said Burr was dead. So I tried to do a flip, and I didn't. It was just a distraction to me. So I'm not really a flipper. So for those who know me, my skill is really sales and marketing. So like I'm good at wholesale because I can find deals. I do the deals I keep, the Burrs I keep are generally like really easy. Like there's not a lot of work. They're sort of like really rare deals that are priced really cheap, but also don't need a big rehab. But I wanted to do a flip just to like experience it. Like I'm selling flips to people, and it just distracted me. I mean, I did an alright job. I did it. Like I problem solved. I fired for it, and I did it. But it was taken away from my core business. It didn't sell. It ended up turning into a Burr. Because it didn't sell, so
Yeah.
it was a flip that flopped.
All your money out there.
It wasn't a great Burr. And I made a couple of really dumb mistakes. So the first one was I bought it with my Burr eyes. Like I've done a lot of really, I normally would buy deals that were sort of like didn't need too much work, and you don't have to do too much work to then get a really good ARV. But so I bought this deal and it wasn't that bad. And I realized that was actually bad because as a flipper, you're better to buy it like really bad and you just redo the whole thing. So like the kitchen was sort of okay, but like when I looked at it and started to get it appraised, like it's like to flip it, the okay is not good enough. Like it's got to be a new kitchen. Like you got to, even though it's okay, you've got to fix it. So I then did way more work than I thought I needed to do to flip it. And then when I didn't flip and I turned it into a Burr, it's like, on the flip side, I did way too much work. That if I had a Burr in the first place, I would have spent way. It would have been, if I actually did it as a Burr, it would have actually been a good deal. But the fact that I did it as a flip, and my pivot was a Burr, made it bad deal. So it was a bad deal. But more, the bigger mistake though wasn't so much the deal, because I mean you have good and bad deals, it's fine. The bigger mistake was just a distraction. And my core is wholesaling. simple deals, and it's just took me away from that. So I'm, just getting back to, I'm not trying to flip ball.
Yeah.
I feel like I can tell you.
Yeah. This is the dude that has the craziest stories. So the biggest mistake, and we'll put a timer on you because I know you'll run with this for an hour.
So it was actually a master lease deal. Everybody heard of a master lease deal? Don't recommend them at all. So at first, going into the deal, it was fantastic. No money down, which was great because I just bought a 90 units. I didn't really have much cash. So I was looking at this a little bit cocky, There was no additional principal or interest paid to the seller. We're just paying his note because he was so behind. We did have to catch up his debts, so we did do that. The property was a major rehab as well. Also don't recommend, if you do a master lease, do like a turnkey property if you absolutely have to do one. The problem with a master lease is you don't own the property. Every penny you put on that property, you better be prepared to lose it all. So basically, it was a master lease with an option to purchase at the end of the lease. The reason why we did a master lease is because the guy was so behind on his mortgage, we had to negotiate with the bank to even allow us to do the loan. And then we had to get it basically financeable. The property was in a great location on Nicholson Drive. I can't even say that word in my house now, it's a cuss word in my house. But it turned into a major rehab. We had a big termite infestation. A couple of y'all seen the property and toured it when I was there. Tried selling it to a couple of y'all just to get out of there. But we ended up losing, I think, $147,000 on it. So a really expensive lesson, but a good lesson learned. Moved on from it. We made money in the past. It's just you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
But we lost a lot on that one.
Yeah.
And what we learned from it is, it had decent debt on it, local debt. But I think the biggest thing was kind of thinking about it, really a distraction. Because we had just bought a 90-unit complex, stabilized that, refinanced it. This was kind of going to the background. Every week that we had our guys over there, honestly, I probably would have lost more if I didn't have my own construction guys that work for us. But every day we went over there, and it was worse. It's like this week we found this, and that's $10,000. And this week the cast iron pipe broke. That's it's just more and more and more. And then we finally made the decision, well, if we were going to purchase this thing, it would cost another $300,000 just to purchase it, right? So it's kind of like, bring the dead horse out back and shoot it in the head. That's exactly what we decided to do. Gave it back to the seller, and it's actually on the market now. So if anybody wants to buy it, I don't own it. The current or the previous owner, or actually he was always the owner, has it listed for sale. Me and him don't necessarily are not on speaking terms anymore. But,
So you're adapted by no more master leases.
and then also that same property, that was one of the ones we ran off MS-13. So that's one of my pocketbooks.
Yeah, that's the old-fashioned conversations later.
If anybody needs advice how to run off the Mexican drug cartel off their property,
Hand that mic over. Elliot.
Honestly, Steve's not gonna like this answer. Going into the year, one of my goals was to diversify out of Baton Rouge, and Todd and I never really took distributions, and so we decided we're going to start distribute money in 2024. And so rather than putting it in the stock market, the S&P 500, we decided to put it back in real estate and do hard money loans. And the S&P was up 23% last year, and our hard money loans did not pay 23% last year. So now when I do roll it in, I'm going to be buying 10% less stock. So I think it's weird to go to a real estate meetup and say, I wish I would have invested not in real estate. But at the end of the day, it's not about real estate, it's about making money. And so when you look at like buying a piece of real estate, maybe 5%, or go buying a 10-year treasury at 4.5%, it's kind of like, I mean, there's appreciation, there's other things, but that was probably my biggest mistake. We're talking about worst deals too, or do you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, like worst deal, biggest mistake. Yeah.
Worst deal, we buy a lot of properties at share sales, and we bought one I thought was renovated, and we bought it and got it and realized it had a sheetrock. So that was worst case scenario. Yeah, which happens. I mean, you never know. Sometimes we get title issues or you get some surprises, but that was probably the biggest surprise we've ever had.
Yeah. All right, enough negativity. We're going to go to a decision that worked exceptionally well for you in 2024, either in your respective space or just in real estate in general.
Yeah, I hinted at it at the beginning. So I made a real strategic decision for this year to invest in the disposition side of my wholesaling business. So, wholesaling is a two-sided marketplace. You have sellers who are distressed and need to sell a property, and then you have buyers who are buying those properties you're assigning them to. So, you know, we're a two-sided marketplace, like certain sides are more important at different points. And in sort of 2020, 21, like the buyers weren't as important, the sellers were, because just deals flew off the shelf. You know, people were hungry for deals. And I sort of saw that the buyer side was becoming more important. So I made that strategic decision to invest in my dispositions. You know, I brought John on board in January. He's been phenomenal. He's like, you know, really spent time nurturing our sellers, getting to know what they're after, you know, building a relationship with them. You know, we invested in like just our technology, you know, being able to scrape SMS, like communicate with our buyers, getting new buyers on board. And that was a real strategic decision I sort of made at the end of 20, like it was a decision for this year.
Yeah.
Executed it, I think is what, I saw a bunch of wholesalers go out of business, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, you hinted to be a tough year, like,
Yeah.
and I think that's what kept us going. So that was definitely the best decision that we made.
Nice.
I think ours was kind of briefly alluded to as well, is our Mirage property. It's a 77 unit on Florida Boulevard. And it's actually turned into kind of a twofold deal that I'm not legally allowed to talk about, but it's 77 units. We purchased it from a guy who inherited the property. Great deal. We bought it on just good, you know, good asset values, and then, you know, just good books really. Needed some work, needed some management play to it. Brought our value to it. It's only got 3 vacants now. It had a piece of land behind it that also came with it, and we tried to actually negotiate. We wanted to treat it as like a negative, right? Got more property taxes to pay, but it actually ended up being a pretty good asset to have. We were able to take that property and subdivide it off the asset itself, without the bank really caring about it. So we actually asked them to be a trailer park now. So our apartment complex turned to a piece of land also with a trailer park that he threw in for free.
Nice.
So that was pretty nice. But yeah, we bought it for 2.5, it priced for 6.2, I believe it was. And we're not going to refinance. We have pretty good debt as it is. We'll probably wait the next 2 years until we have to refinance, and then we'll pull our cash out. And that's another thing I was going to say really quick. We don't really sell. If I'm selling something, it's either I'm just completely done with it or it went south. But mainly we take our dividends from refinances, but don't over leverage on a refinance. We've done that as well. Kind of keep your basis pretty low on that as well.
Yeah.
The problem is that was only about 40% of our deals, and those are the worst deals we buy because there's just a lot of competition. And so we started this year marketing more to direct sellers. And when we drive by houses, we take the time to look up the owners and call. And we got about 20% of our deals this year from just direct random calls. And so going forward to 2025, we're going to try to spend a proportionate amount of time on direct deals that we think could be our income rather than spend all this time on auction work and chasing that deals.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Looking back, was there a deal you passed on that you wish you would have pursued? Or one that you took down, wish you hadn't? We kind of covered that. I know that one now, but.
There's nothing I really passed on that I wish I had pursued, just because, I mean, I'm analyzing deals all day, I look at deals all day. There's plenty of deals I probably passed on that were good, but like I just got an abundance mentality. You know, for me, I think the deal of the century comes along every week. So like I don't really stress about something I missed.
Yeah.
Have I took on one I shouldn't have? I won't do that flip because I bought that in December 24, so December 23, so it wasn't really this year. Probably one that I bought that I regret, sort of, I'll put a caveat on that, but I did buy a deal subject to the mortgage, and it was a pretty good deal, had all debt, it was from 2011, so I really liked that it was amortizing, it was getting through, you know, so a lot of the payment was going to principal. So I bought it subject to great, and then like a week later the loan got called due by the bank, so that wasn't great. So I definitely like regretted thinking that was a strategy, but I think like all good investors should do, like you need to have second exit strategies, and things are going to go wrong, and you need to pivot on that. So the deal actually ended up pretty well. I was able to refi out of it. I turned it into a burr. It's actually a good one. So I was able to turn it into a burr. I bought it back. You know, I bought right. Like I think like we said, you can do any strategy if you buy right.
Yep.
you know, and all sins can be forgiven if you got it at a good price. If you buy it at a bad price, you're gonna get in trouble. So I did buy it right, so I was able to refinance it out. I got all my money out of it, and actually a little bit extra, and cash flow. So it's a nice burr. I did sacrifice a little bit in that, like, now it was 11 years old, which meant that the payment was paying down the principal. Now they're reset, so it wasn't doing that. It was about 1% higher. So it wasn't, the loan I was getting was 5.5. I ended up getting 6.75, so it was a little bit more expensive. It wasn't amortizing as much. But the benefit I did get was with the burr, I put about 30K into the property. And so with the subject too, I put 30K into the property, and I was just gonna let that sit because, you know, like that money was set at the property. When I did the refi, I actually got that money back.
Nice.
So, you know, that worked out for me. So I don't really regret making that decision, but it definitely didn't turn out how I thought it was gonna turn out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say a property that, which I didn't do, but
Yeah.
there was one that we passed on, and it's called Ivy Courtyard. That's right there by, you know, LSU. And I think we lost it over like 50 grand or something stupid. I think it was really more of an emotional deal too, because it was kind of like, you know, proving that you're right kind of deal. So I do regret not doing that deal, but at the same time, everything happens for a reason. It was just a learning point for us. But yeah, I mean, definitely regret not doing it, but at the same time, everything happens for a reason. So.
Why did you do it?
Over 50 grand. It was, we were just getting outbid. It was actually a group here locally too. And you know, it got to the point where, you know, we would give a price and it just got too back and forth for me, you know? And I felt like I was being bid up, you know? You ever get in those situations? And I just got to the point where I was like, okay, I think this is just getting a little bit ridiculous, so just let them have it. And they've done great with it. It's a beautiful property now. They redid the pool and everything, so it's just one of those deals where I just didn't think it was a smart idea to kind of get emotional with the deal and keep pushing the price up just because you wanted to win. You know, I'm very competitive, but at the same time, you have to be disciplined, you know, and always want to buy. Because, like we were all saying, if you went on the buy, you have multiple exit strategies. If you don't want to buy, kind of your hands are tied, you know. And real estate is not necessarily that liquid either. So if you get in a bind and you don't have a lot of equity to work with to get out of it, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot better to miss out than miss on. So there's really nothing that I regret not buying. And usually when we lose, a lot of times we know we lose too.
Yeah.
It can be with Asa a little bit. And I'm okay. If Asa crushes it, great. You know.
Or as long as you bid the price up.
Yeah. Probably the good thing about this market is most of the people doing it are just good people. And so I don't, you know, yeah, it would be great to make that, but there's another deal. There's always more deals. And then I talked about my biggest miss. And do I regret it? Yeah, but you make the best decisions you can with the information you have at the time. And we probably would buy it again, you know, because it's just, unfortunately,
Yeah.
we probably will buy it again.
Yeah. And that's totally a setup question. Was there a deal that you passed on that you wish? Pretty much everybody can say, that they don't regret passing up on a deal, right? Like I've bought plenty of deals this year that I regret buying, and I will never buy a deal like them again. But I can look at plenty of them that I did pass on, and thank God I passed on them. So that's a tee up for that one. I expected no one to really have any major regrets for passing up on something. No deal's worth having that bad. So I lost my cursor here. Okay, if you give a piece of advice to a newer investor based on what you've learned this year, what would it be?
To speak to the wholesalers, you know, take my lead and like invest in your buyer base, like, you know, nurture your buyers. That's really the advice you want to take. You know, and I guess, you know, it's always buy right. You know, I think the other thing is it's actually a pretty good time to buy right now. Yeah. So like if you're looking to get particularly long term, right? If you're looking to buy long-term assets, like the market's slower. You can make those offers that are low, and don't worry if they say no. Don't worry about the deals you pass up, as we've all said. Like, but just make those offers, and you will find some people are motivated. It's just not as, you know. And if you can make that deal, and you're going to hold it long term, that's a good benefit. And if you're a flipper, like just underwrite expecting a longer hold time, underwrite, conservatively, and you're going to do well. So don't be afraid. I mean, the market's a bit tougher, but I like Warren Buffett's advice. That you should be greedy when everyone else is scared, and scared whenever everyone else is greedy. And I think right now there's a fair bit of fear out there. I'm sure in multifamily, man, for real, that's going to be some opportunities. So don't be afraid to take a shot. Just be conservative in your numbers.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that as well. Like, in my opinion, like right now is the time to like get after it. Like right now is the time to educate yourself. That way you can think of a creative strategy. Because a lot of times these deals have to be done creatively. Educate yourself on creative strategies. Make sure you have good financing. Make sure all your personal affairs are in order. Make sure you have a good backing, whether that's a partnership or whether that's a bank, or whatever that looks like for whatever strategy you're going after. But kind of sharpen the knife now and get ready to start getting after it, because there's deals out there now. Right now is definitely the time to do deals. It's a little scary, but that's why I was always saying, don't overload yourself. Make sure you have plan A through E. Make sure that, it's a deal that you're looking at that you can afford to lose if you absolutely had to, but you obviously don't want to. Just make sure that you're kind of prepared for that. And be gritty. I mean, you'd be surprised that there's a lot of people out there kind of getting lazy. I've noticed that in multifamily. I don't know if y'all have noticed that with y'all, but there's a lot of people kind of like waiting, right? Just kind of like, like I hear it all the time. We're just waiting for the market to kind of get predictable and we can move forward. The market's never predictable. You always have to be prepared to take a shot. As long as that shot is calculated, it's thought out, and it's worked through, then I think right now is a great opportunity. You just have to know what you're doing.
Yep.
I want to have a little audience participation. How many people bought a house last year? How many people got stuck with the house they wanted to flip, but it turned into a rental? Okay, just kidding. I had that bigger question. So my advice for you, number one, is just be careful what you see on social media. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of people trying to push you to buy a deal, which is great. You can always make money in real estate, good market and bad market. But just be careful. Be very disciplined. I think do it if you love it. I probably get a call once a week from somebody asking me, or telling me, hey, I want to get into business. What should I do? And if you're in it to be a passive investor with a one-off house, it's like, is it really worth it? Just go put your money in the market. But if you're really committed, you want this to be your career, and you're energized after a day of making cold calls, then it's for you. But it's not for everybody. I think another thing is there's a lot of people who are getting into business who are chasing the shiny object, and I say this whenever I talk to Anita, is stick to one thing and do it right. If you've got a list, don't leave that list messy and uncalled. Get it done and move on to the next thing. Pick one little sub-market and know it and call it all those houses. But it's just so important to stay focused and not try to be a wholesaler, a flipper, a property manager, a contractor. Just pick something tight, narrow, and just try to be the best at it.
Yeah, I couldn't emphasize that enough. I mean, that's huge. I think that was it. Okay, cool. All right, yeah, look, guys, with this group, I think, we all alluded a lot of the same things, but we have a strong belief in here that this is a vast majority of investors in town, right? So what we like to do is, I think education is good for everybody as a whole, as a market, like he was alluding to earlier. People overbidding on these properties, new wholesalers coming in and just overpaying. It's so important that we all work on this together and actually understand this market, understand what's happening, and that it's not free money anymore. It's not, you don't just jump in and just win in everything you touch in real estate anymore. Real estate's, honestly, again, I hate to be that guy. Real estate's really not that fun. Real estate is hard. It's a grind. It's a hustle. It was a glamorous, really fun, easy, cool thing to do in COVID years. But man, we're back to reality here, and real estate is tough. And I would encourage you to get into it. Like he's saying, if it's something that you really enjoy and something that you really love. Otherwise, don't waste your time. It is brutal. It's not, you can't just throw a dart at the wall anymore, anything that works. So, but yeah, look, we really, this is a really, different deeper night, so we went a little bit longer. But typically, we want to have a little short panel up here, either a guest or a topic we're going to share on, and really want this to be about networking. Want everybody to get to meet each other. There's a lot of new people in here. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody in here. But man, this is where we grow. This is where we do deals. This is how we improve our own markets here. I have to be optimistic and think that this market is turning and it is getting better, but it comes down to buying good deals. Everybody can agree on this panel, buy good deals. That's the most important thing to all of this. So I'll leave y'all with this. We started this website, theredstickeinvestors.com. I'll leave that up. If y'all could, just go fill out your info on there. It's like your name and your email address. I promise you I'm not going to spam you. If we start like an email chain or something like that, I'll let y'all sign up for that here. But we just want to make sure we get everybody's info, just to remind y'all when we're meeting. But yeah, it's the first Tuesday of every month at 6:30 up here. We'll see if we're kind of testing out the panels. We're testing out the topics. We're testing out networking nights. So come give us some feedback. Talk to me or Logan. And let us know what y'all like or don't like about this. We're just trying to do this to help out the investor community more. But thanks to our panel. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for y'all's time.